Whoa. Robin, is this you?
Oh my.
Oh
Yeah,
my
that's me.
word. Oh my word. This was one of the closets.
Did you walk through it, Michelle? Were you able to go and see it live?
Yeah, I've seen it. I know which room this is in. That's nasty. Oh my gosh. Oh, I remember the ceiling. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember.
She was eating her lunch and she had to stop looking because it was so nasty.
That black stuff has got to be mold, right? Oh.
Doesn't really matter. It's gone now, right? So it's all good.
Nice.
Oh, it's gone. It's gone now. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I ripped it all out.
Oh yeah.
And you cleaned up after me because I'm a terrible person.
Somebody cleaned up after you. Is that what you said?
Yeah, Lee did.
Oh. Oh my word. Okay. Yes.
Look at those beautiful vintage ovens.
Yes. It's more real in real life.
And then we're definitely keeping that right there. Just 10 out of 10.
That'll be the seller.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, the good news is out of this, pretty much everything, including this wall, right? Let me see if I don't know if you can see my mouse, but
Yeah, we can see your mouse.
this whole wall here is gone. The whole thing up to about there. So
That's awesome.
yeah, it looks really nice. I don't have 360 pictures of that yet because there's a lot better stuff to do, but
Have you figured out how to take pictures of it yet?
yeah, I did. I can just let me see here. Just do this and then where's that at? Right here. Take a snapshot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, is this special software that you have that allows that to play, or is that any computer can play that?
Any computer can play that with the right software.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can change the type of view as well. It depends on what you want it to look like, but I just like the natural view. Kind of make things flatter and not as fisheye looking, which is nice. But yeah, and then I've got plenty more pictures also.
The kitchen is Robin's thing. I mean, he's took that whole kitchen out by himself, and with Steve's help, he'll probably reinstall the whole kitchen. I'll probably be a handyman for him, but basically this kitchen is his project.
Wow, Robin, you go.
Yeah. Well, that and the closet. I also made a closet.
I was telling them about that before you got on. Lucero, you know, she had seen the closet and everything.
Yeah, I've been working from the closet for the last 2 days.
So you decided
So this
to turn
is
that
it.
a closet?
So this is just not a thing that we do in houses anymore,
No.
and haven't since what, 20, 30 years? 40? So yeah, this whole thing is gone. We knocked this back wall out and then took these doors off, stripped all the sheetrock pretty much of the entire thing. And this has now, well, I have a picture that I may upload it here in a little bit, but I built a wall right about here to match I don't think we can see it from this angle, but there's another bookshelf that was on the other side, on the left from here, on the other side of that fireplace. And so we're going to match that bookshelf in here and have a matching closet in the back here. So this is divided now. I made the frame for it and installed the frame for a door right about here. So that was the first time. It came without any issues or injuries. Just kidding. I actually shot a nail through my hand. That's, yeah.
You ain't
Oh,
working if you don't get hurt.
Yeah.
oh.
That's what Steve says. You haven't been working unless you're bleeding.
Yeah, true.
But Robin does it exceptionally well because he's a gifted person. So, you know, he nailed Gundy's hand.
Yeah, I wanted it to be a part of the house.
That's hilarious.
Oh yeah, there you go. I like that one. Maybe I'll just keep these open and rotate if more people come in later. The garage is also very different. We've ripped out a lot of the drywall in there. There's so many tabs open.
I was looking on my desktop. I thought somewhere I had all those pictures I've been dumping. I don't see them right now.
I have to ask, is the kitty cat still there in the walls?
No,
No. We ripped out all of this, so it doesn't have a place to go anymore. But it has been caught by our favorite neighbor.
Good.
It's being taken care of. Actually, today I was trying to figure out when the cats came and eat the food, because there was some wet food. Someone put some new wet food out and dry food and water for them. The niece of the lady who used to own the house. And today I saw a dog just very rudely invading our backyard and coming to eat the cat food. So, yeah, he looked lost, but I'll let him eat it.
Robin, did you happen to see a ruckus in the alley last week or the week before?
I was in the kitchen when it happened. Someone got in a fight, right?
Yeah. Did you see anything?
Sam told me that a younger guy hit an older guy.
Yeah, our neighbor. He went out there because the bulldog killed another little dog, not a bulldog, but a pit bull. Talked to the guy, and the guy got ruckus, so he's pressing charges.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
He was wanting to
That was,
see if he saw it or had it, any knowledge of it.
no, if anybody would know, it would be Sam. I believe he saw it.
Was this in the middle of the day?
Yes, in the middle of the day.
Yikes.
We just, I don't know who was with me. I think it might have been Lee or Steve. And I said, is someone yelling? And they were just looking at me all weird. And then Sam came in and said that there was a fight right outside in the alley. So.
Okay, I'll have to get with Sam then, because the guy's wanting to find out if there's any witnesses.
Yes, I believe Sam may have seen it. Well, that's not great. Which neighbor was it? The one to the left of the house?
As you're facing the house to the right, the one we had the ruts in the yard.
Oh, that was his?
Yeah,
Oh, no.
it wasn't his dog that died, but
Oh, wait, a dog died? I thought it was just a fight.
no, the dog. I'm sorry, I was distracted. The dog went after a little Yorkshire while they was walking it and killed it.
Oh, wow.
Now, it wouldn't take much for a pit bull to kill a Yorkshire.
Is it the neighbor that got in a fight, or was it someone else?
Yeah, the neighbor.
Oh, wow.
I don't know, it was a fist fight or just yelling back and forth, but evidently since he's pressing charges, it was more than just talking.
Yeah.
Hey, well, we're waiting for this to get pulled up. I just wanted to introduce us. I'm Alex Kirkendall. This is my girlfriend, Leah Kosian, and this is our first meeting here with you guys. So just excited to be here and meet with people and make connections. And I'm kind of in between Midland and College Station right now. So we just got our first duplex here in College Station, and now we're kind of starting to look in Midland for our second investment property.
Is Midland home?
No, actually from Austin. I just work out in Midland, and we're doing a 50% on for the coronavirus schedule type thing. So, and Leah's in school right now. She's doing her PhD. So she's got 4 more years here down in College Station. So I'm back and forth between Midland and College Station. But it's been nice for coronavirus actually, because I've been getting to stay here for a week on at a time instead of just driving down 7 hours and then staying for a weekend and driving back up 7 hours on Sunday. So it's been kind of nice for us.
Very cool.
All right. Well, I guess it's time to start then. It's already 7. Welcome, everyone. And it's nice to meet you, Alex. Glad that y'all are here. So today, Lee will be our speaker. I'm just going to go through a couple of things really quick before the meeting begins. So do your due diligence to anything that is said during the meeting. We're not providing legal or accounting advice, so please take everything that is said with discretion. This is not any type of advice that you want to go out without verifying with a professional. If you have anything that you want to add to the list, Lee has a list of everything we can do out here in Midland, Odessa. So if you'd like to add something out to that, just please let me know or let Lee know. But I believe he has that file and he can reference to where that is located at later during the presentation. None of us is as smart as all of us, so please feel free to share ideas and thoughts about either the presentation or a deal that you're working on or anything like that. I know myself and Lee also are always open to hearing new suggestions, and this is pretty much how we ended up working together on this deal that we're currently, well, I'm not partnering, I'm just helping them out. I'm just the muscles and they're the brain. So we do not have a book of the month because I'm a terrible person. We've got a realtor named Cuthbert Soria. He's our Odessa realtor, and he'll give a market report when he's on the meeting. I do not see him right now, though. I'm just scrolling through, but I can't see him connected. No. But if y'all need a recommendation or some tips on the market, he's usually a pretty good resource. It's great to talk to him for anything like that. And he's super, super nice. He's at most meetings, and he's usually coming when Ruben is there. If you know a subject or a person that would be great to talk about during one of the meetings, please let us know. It's always great to come up with things such as Lee's insight on business and things like that. But I know that sometimes you'd like to take it easy and just be the person who introduces them. So the more people we hear from, the better it is for the group as a whole. If you feel like you know someone or have a topic that you'd like to explore, let us know and we'll make sure to schedule that for you. So today's featured speaker is Lee Richter. He's been out here investing in real estate since the 1980s. He took a quick break raising his sons, and then he's right back onto it now that they're pretty much out of the house. He's been mostly renting out trailer homes to people who are very good renters. He makes sure he's very good at being a great landlord, and he has a great list to find out what the tenants will be like once they're in his homes and make sure that they're going to cause as little damage as possible, if any, and that they will stay with him for the long term because he takes really good care of them. He's also currently working on a flip home that is located around the airport, which is kind of the RIA project that we've been mentioning over the last couple meetings. If you have any questions about that, feel free to ask him or myself. Be glad to let y'all know what's going on there. And then for those of you who missed it earlier, we were out here sharing pictures for a little while. Today, Lee will be speaking about mostly working as an independent worker, I believe. And I've been taking a lot of advice from Lee in terms of how to set up things when you're working for yourself, because Lee has also, on top of investing in real estate, been a small business owner for years working in landscaping. And if you've seen his trailer anywhere, he's walking around with his truck and his trailer. And of course, on his trailer is one of his signs saying, "I will buy or rent your house." So he never misses an opportunity to let people know that he's also invested in real estate, which is a great piece of advice right there that landed him this deal. Basically, I believe is through his landscape company is how he managed to hear about this deal. But today he'll talk about running your business as a Schedule C self-employed or as an LLC, talk about the advantages of being self-employed and or running your business as an LLC compared to having a W-2 salary or wage. There are many differences, and Lee encourages everybody to work for themselves, which he has done extensively for me. So without further ado, Lee, go ahead.
Okay. While I'm talking to Robin, if you want to take the screen back over, you can flip through the house if you want, or you can just be like you are. Either way. Remember, everybody, this information is just stuff that I do. It's meant to create ideas and give you some ideas of what you might want to do. Don't do it without checking with your lawyer or your CPA, because I'm a moron and you don't want to take my advice for anything. You just want to maybe get some ideas that you might want to go do something with. I've been telling people for the last 4 years, 3 years, that this is the lowest tax rate you'll ever see in your lifetime. I'm convinced of it. Some of the tax rates and some of the stuff that's going on during this time doesn't even make sense to me of how low it is. I believe that it will still be pretty low for the next 3 years, 4 years. But as soon as Biden gets in office, and this isn't saying anything about Biden negative, it's just what his goals are, is he's already said that he's going to reduce some of the tax breaks that real estate owners have. Let's see, the 199A 20% deduction, he's going to get rid of that. He'll probably let that one just run out, and that one runs out in 2024. It's really has no sense or real being for being there, other than that it makes people that are self-employed and people that have companies pay less taxes. Like Robin says, I encourage everyone to be self-employed. A W-2 worker, I've given an example before where if I, as a businessman, bought a uniform for $1,000, and if you're a W-2 worker, buy that same uniform for $1,000, it literally will, you'll have to earn $1,536, I think it is, to pay for that $1,000 uniform. Whereas me as a business owner, all I get is just earn $1,000. You as a W-2, it's pushed you up into a higher tax bracket probably, because you had to make 50% more money. Me, it actually dropped my tax rate because it's a deduction. And so I'm $1,000 less than my income, but we both had the same uniform. That's why I encourage everybody to be self-employed, is because you can take all those deductions off. Everybody, if you got your video on, raise your hand if you're willing to work for free or even paid to work. I don't see anybody's hands. My hand is up. The reason I asked that question is because if you're self-employed, like this house that we're working on that you see Robin going through right now, I haven't made anything on that house. I added it up this weekend. I got 108 hours in that I spent on that house so far, and I haven't made a dime. I have spent probably around $20,000 so far in repairs. And so I'm actually paying to have this job, but I know in the long run, it'll work out for me. So when you're self-employed, you don't make your money up front, the big money, you make it in the rear end. Ross Perot was a billionaire. He's dead now. He also ran for president of the United States at one time. When he left the IBM, he had an idea to rent IBM computers out to companies and charge them for upkeep. He wouldn't charge them for the computer, just a monthly fee. And IBM, he went to IBM to try to get IBM to do it because he worked for them, and they wouldn't let him do it. So after about 1.5 years, 2 years, he asked them, okay, can I quit and do this on my own? They said, yeah. Ross Perot, it took him 9 months before he got his first customer. So he worked for free for 9 months. And then over the years, he became a billionaire through his company. So if you think that you're going to get rich quick in real estate, you're not, but it's worth it. You know, I can go and take a vacation. I go down and see my son in San Angelo. I work when I want. So W-2, that's all I'm going to say about it. I appreciate all of you guys working W-2. I have a W-2 job, but I work for my company on a W-2. So all the rest of you, I appreciate you working because you're paying my taxes for me. Yes, I do pay taxes, but not near as much as you. And when on the presidential debate, one of them talked about Trump not paying taxes in a year. And he said, well, that's because I'm smart. Yeah, he's smart, and he's the accountants. They made a lot of taking advantage of the tax codes. And you can't do that if you're a W-2. benefits for a self-employed person in an LLC are almost the same. The main difference in the two is that an LLC will protect your benefits. And in the state of Texas, your LLC protects you both ways. If you're driving down the road texting and you get in a wreck and somebody sues you, it will protect your LLC from you. So you still have an LLC, it still makes money, and they can't get after it. If your LLC, if somebody trips on some ice or something, then the LLC protects you from it. So they can't come in and take your house and take your bank account and stuff, because that's a separate entity, is the LLC. Things that being self-employed does not do, it doesn't protect your assets in either direction. The contributions that you can make to a 401k, the limits are the same, but the way you put it in is easier and more beneficial to you if you have an LLC. If you have an LLC, it can pay a lower tax rate overall than a self-employed person. And I'll explain that later on in the presentation. The reasons, like I said, the main reason that people create an LLC is for asset protection. Back in the 90s, there was a Texaco station that I bought. And before I bought the Texaco station, I created an LLC. The station was downtown Midland, across from the donut shop on Big Springs. 20 years earlier, I believe it was, gas had leaked from their tanks, and there was a building 3 blocks away that in the elevator shaft in the ground, gas was leaking into the elevator shaft. The EPA came in and drilled 26 wells, monitoring wells around town. And when I picked up the property, I think 16 of them were still open. The rest had already caved in. EPA, if they come in for an environmental thing like that, they can sue anybody up the chain of title or back the chain of title, all the way back to the Indians. So I did not want it in my personal name, because I didn't want EPA saying, okay, now you're responsible for it too, because I'm in the chain of title. So that's why I created an LLC, is to protect myself from that gas station. And that's the only thing that was ever in that LLC, was that gas station. The first LLC was created in the United States in Wyoming in 1978. Texas didn't create their first LLC rules until 9.
We lost you there for a second.
Okay, what did you do last year?
LLC rule.
Did you hear the things that LLC, how about the gas station? Did you hear about that?
Yeah, it was pretty short. It was about 10 seconds, or we didn't hear you. We heard about all that.
Okay, the gas station, the reason I created an LLC back in the 90s to put that gas station in is because it had contaminated the ground water. Well, not the groundwater, but the ground. Building 3 blocks away in the elevator shaft had gas leaking into the elevator shaft. And the EPA came in and drilled a bunch of wells. And when I bought it, they still had 16 of the 26 wells monitoring. EPA, when they do something like that, they can sue anybody up the chain of title. In other words, after they came in, they could sue me, even though I bought it after the thing had leaked, or down the chain of title. So they could sue anybody all the way back to when the Indians owned it. And I didn't want them suing me personally, so I created an LLC to put that station into. It was downtown across from the donut shop next to Western Auto. The first LLC in the United States was created in 1978, and that was in Wyoming. The next, Texas didn't get the LLCs until 1991. We were a little slow on that one, but we created the Series LLC in 2009. And there's not a lot of state that has the Series, but Texas is one, and I think there's maybe 13 now. There's not very many states that has the Series, but that's okay. All we need is in Texas. And the only thing I'm going to say about a Series LLC is they're good to have if you have multiple properties, and you need to make sure that the parent LLC is the same as the sub LLC. So like I have one company that has my landscape maintenance business, and it's the one that's doing this fix and flip, because the fix and flip income is not going to be passive. It's going to be regular income. And so that's what they call non-passive income. Excuse me. And so ordinary income, you want all of that income into one LLC. My Cats and Dogs LLC is where I have my rental properties, and that's where my Series is. And so you want all grouping activities in the same type of LLC. The advantages of the LLCs are limited liability protection both ways, as I said before. It possibly lowers your tax rate. If you make $40,000 or more in your LLC, then you ought to make your LLC an S Corp. And anybody that has that in their LLC, you can get with me later, because it's not long, but I don't really want to go into it. Just know that if you're around the $40,000 net income, that you will save money being an S Corp. And it's only taxed as an S Corp. You're still an LLC. I run all of my LLCs I have several of them, and they're all single members. My wife doesn't want to be on them, and so I run them as single members. If you're husband and wife, then you can run it as a single member like I do, or you can be as a partnership. And basically it's for tax purposes. But just know that you can do it the simple way or the long way, either way. If you have an LLC, because a lot of times you'll see a seminar being put on by a lawyer, don't buy an LLC outside of the state of Texas and run it inside the state of Texas. My sister did that because she went to the same seminar that I did, and I always take time. I'm a slow person when it comes to doing things, and so I took a little bit of time to kind of figure out about LLCs, and she jumped right on it. And I think she got a Nevada LLC, and then she tried to run it inside the state of Texas, which you can do, but you have to do it as a foreign entity. And then it costs you, I believe it's $400 a year. I, on the other hand, created a Texas LLC. It cost me $300, the Texas filing fee. And then after that, Texas doesn't charge anything else unless your gross receipts are over $1 million. And someday I might have that problem, but I don't have that problem right now. I hope to have that problem someday.
Can you say that one more time, Lee? How much do you spend on them? On your LLCs, how much are they?
They're free after you get them set up. And
Okay.
my first LLC I had done with, matter of fact, that's how I found out about how good the laws are in Texas. Because I went to another seminar through Fortune Builders, and at the weekend thing that we went to, one of the people there was a lawyer out of San Antonio, And I asked him, I said, because they were pushing this, foreign entity to try to get a Nevada LLC. And I said, how are the Texas laws here in Texas? Should I go get this foreign one, or are they good enough here in Texas? And he said, no, Texas has very strong laws, and the judges are business friendly, not like California or New York, where, it might take you a year or two to get a tenant out because they're not friendly to businesses. Here in Texas, they're very friendly. The laws are very friendly too. So I suggest that you always get a Texas LLC. And as I go through this, you'll hear more reasons why. Raise your hand if you know what a charging order is. Or if anybody does know what a charging order is, what is it? Okay, a charging order is where you get sued by a judge in court, not by a judge, you get sued in court by somebody. Let's say your tenant slips on ice, or you were doing that texting thing that I told you about. And in the state of Texas, if the person wins, then he gets what they call is a charging order from the judge. And the judge will say, okay, let's say it was against my LLC. They will say, okay, you cannot distribute any of your profits to the owner, which is me, because I'm a single owner, until this judgment is paid. And so I have an LLC, and they've now tied up my LLC so I can't get paid from it. The LLC can do business. It can do everything it can do. It can make money. It can buy more property. Whatever that LLC usually does, it can keep on doing it. It just can't pay me any money. But if my son happens to do work for me, then I could pay him out of the LLC. Also, since my LLC is an S corp, if I understand correctly, I'm an employee of the LLC, so I can pay that employee. I just can't, as an owner, get money out of it, which is called a distribution. So most of my money would stay in the LLC, which isn't bad. Like my real estate money, I've never taken money out of the LLC. I just let that money keep building. And so it really wouldn't affect me at all. And the nice thing about a charging order is it makes the litigant, the person that sued you, more willing to settle. Let's say he gets $100,000 settlement. You might ask him, hey, will you take $15,000? And of course, he's probably mad right now, and so he doesn't want to. And so, you go and wait 10 years because you don't have to take that money out. In 10 years, you might go to him and say, hey, would you like $10,000 now? And if he doesn't, maybe you go another 10 years. I'm still paying my son and my wife or whoever else I want to pay out of the LLC. I still work for it as a W-2. Now, regular LLC doesn't have that W-2 option. It's only the S corps that do that. But you can still get money out. Let's see. In Texas, the LLC protects you from a charging order in both directions. The LLC can do everything but distribute money to the owners. It can pay the W-2 wages. So if you had other people working, like I have 2 other people that work for me part-time, and I could still keep paying them because they're W-2 workers. I could also pay 1099 workers. And I never have to distribute that money to me. And if I died, then the money would just go to my heirs. Another place that people don't realize and don't think about on asset protection is your 401k and your IRAs. There are very few cases that anybody can get money out of your 401k or IRA by suing you. The IRS, I believe they have certain ways. It's not real strong. And there are certain other bankruptcy ways, but very limited. general bankruptcy, the creditors couldn't get to your 401k or your IRA. So think about that when you're doing rental properties or investments or notes or anything, that yes, you can't spend that money until you get old enough without taking penalties. But with a 401k, money that you put in, after 5 years, you can get that money that you put in out. So if you initially put it in, then you let it build, get some other money built up inside the 401k, and then you can get your original investment back out. And that's just another way of protecting your assets, is to use your 401k and your IRA as self-directed. Does anybody know, speak up if you know what the corporate veil is.
I do.
Okay, tell us, Robin.
So, corporate veil means to have a little bit of distance between the actual owner and the entity itself, so that you have anonymity. You're not the fact that the LLC is owned by someone doesn't tell immediately, well, this is owned by Lee Richter, for example, so that you get anonymity, and that's what's called the corporate veil.
Anybody else? Okay, he's close to being right. The corporate veil doesn't create anonymity; it creates asset protection. The corporation itself is like Robin's sitting there. He's a different person. The IRS can't sue me and get to Robin's assets. They can't get to Sergio's assets or Michelle's, because everybody here is a different person. So it wouldn't make sense to sue me for your money. Well, that's the same way it is with your LLC. It's a different entity. And so the corporate veil means that it stays a separate entity from me as long as I run it as a separate entity. And if you get sued, the first thing the lawyer is going to do is try to prove that you're not different than the corporation, that you commingled your money, you ran it like it was your own bank account, and that there was no difference between you and the corporation. And so the rest of what my talk is tonight is to tell you how I run my LLC to separate me from my company. The first thing you need to do in your company is be responsible, not be negligent. If you, like in my lease contracts for my rental properties, it says that they have to clean the sidewalks for mice, because I don't want to go outside every time it snows and go down there and clean off the ice. If I didn't have that in there, then I would have to go clean off the ice and they could sue me. They can still sue me, but they just may not win. They could win. They could sue me for having gray hair. You can sue people for anything. So don't think that you're never going to get sued. Make sure all your corporate documents are, you get all your corporate documents from a lawyer. You can go to some of those online places and get corporate documents, and it's just not my style. I want a lawyer that I know what he's doing and that he knows me. He knows the type of business I want to run, and that he's got other people that are doing it. And they've told him, hey, I'm not allowed to do this in my corporation. And so he's improved his corporate documents. And so that when I come along, that he's able to give me a set of corporate documents that let me run my corporation the way I want to. Make sure, number 3, make sure once you get your corporate documents, like right now I'm reading through a new LLC that I'm creating, and I think I'm on page 21 of 36 pages. And I can tell you it's boring stuff. I'm dyslexic and it takes me a long time to read, but it is worth it. My sister told me years ago when I was still in high school, never sign anything that you don't read. And it has saved me thousands of dollars over the years. everything I read, I've signed, I read. And if I go in for a closing, I'll go in the day before and read the whole contract over. And there was one time that the mineral rights, it didn't specifically say who it was. And so I went back in and told him, hey, this should be my mineral rights. And he said, well, I'm not going to do that, but I'll ask her when we go into close. And so that gave me a whole day to think about what I would say when we went into close. And so we went in there, and he said, we hadn't decided who was going to get the mineral rights. Does that go with the property? And she says, oh, I don't know. And I said, oh, well, I thought I was buying the whole property, everything. And she said, oh, okay. But I had thought about the night before how I would word that. And so if you read things, you'll learn things, and you'll start picking up legal stuff. I still can't read legal stuff very well, but I read a lot better than I used to, especially purchase contracts and sales contracts. So read all pages of your documents. There's what they call the operation documents, and it tells what you can do in your LLCs. Tells whether the members in an LLC, you don't have shareholders, you have members. And it'll either be run by the owners or it'll be run by the managers. And so mine's manager run. Now I'm the manager, but I'm also the owner, but still, that's the way mine's set up. I said before that you don't really need an S corp for your real estate because it's passive income. But in my landscape business and like this flip, that's active income. And so I have it as an S corp because I make a little bit over $40,000. And all you got to do is file Form 2553, and it'll set you up as an S corp. Always, anytime you go to do something, make sure you check with your lawyer or your CPA. I wanted to sell this LLC because I put that property in it. And the way I was thinking, I think legally I'm still right, but I'm not sure if it would pass an audit, and neither did my lawyer. My lawyer's a tax lawyer, so he knows taxes. And I've owned this LLC since 2017. And so that would make it long-term capital gains if I sold the LLC instead of selling the property. And the property is inside the LLC, so whoever bought the LLC would get the property, but it would make my property a long-term capital gains instead of a fix and flip. But my lawyer didn't like it. He said he liked my idea, but let's not do that. So I don't argue with the professionals. I do what they tell me.
If you have multiple properties and stuff, how do you decide which one goes into which LLC? Like, do you have a LLC for your rental properties or for your properties in one city, or do you just put everything in one LLC, or how would you go about splitting that up?
Alex, you're a tiger, man. I don't do anything outside of Midland. I don't want to travel. So, if you want to live in Austin long term, I'd start buying in Austin, because when it comes to, I won't even go to Odessa. I'll go to Odessa for meetings, but to me, this is fun, especially when I'm not presenting, because I just like being with people and talking to people. But I don't want to go to Odessa to check on my rental house. I don't want to go over there and make sure, I'm just lazy. I want to just be able to do it here in Midland. If somebody calls me up tomorrow morning on the way to work, on the way to the fix and flip, I'll stop by whatever rental called me up, if I need to. Now, usually you can handle most things over the phone. But what I do, well, I'll cover that later on. There's ways to get, if you have family and stuff, there's ways to take that off of taxes, and I'll go over that later on. But let's see, back to your question. Your question was, repeat it again? Oh, the LLC, yes. This was active income, and I had to think about it because while I was getting ready to close, I was thinking about, actually when we were drawing up the papers, because I had to figure out whose name would be on it. I knew my name wasn't going to be on it. I have Cats and Dogs LLC as my rental properties, and then I have Lee's Barbershop as my landscape maintenance company.
Okay, so you have it split up. You have one for your properties and then one for your landscape business.
Yeah, well, it covers all active things I do is in that Lee's Barbershop. Because if somebody sues Lee's Barbershop, I'm just going to bankrupt it, and I'll go. The landscape maintenance business will start working for the new LLC that I create. So there's nothing in that LLC for them to sue. They can sue it all day long, but they're not going to get anything because there's nothing there. It's a service company, and you can't grab my service. You can only grab the LLC, and there's nothing in there. Now, the Cats and Dogs, that's the one that's got properties in it, but that's why you want a series, is because you don't want all the properties in one thing. If you're in the state of Texas, if you had a series, then you could use it for the one here in Midland, for one in College Station, one in Austin. But like I said, I'm lazy. I would just do it in Austin. And maybe long term, that's what you do. You know, you and your lovely girlfriend there, you all living in lovely and smart, smart, very smart. You know, if y'all start living in Austin, maybe that's what you start doing is investing there. The next thing you want to make sure you do is create EIN, employer's identification number. I have them for all my different ones for each one because I don't want to use my Social Security because they're different entity. I wouldn't use Sergio's Social Security for stuff that I'm doing. And I wouldn't use my Social Security for my business. And it's the business Social Security number is what an EIN number is. You want to make sure that you have a bank account that's separate from your own. Cats and Dogs, I created it back in 2013. And for the first 3 years, I was commingling funds. And I knew I knew I shouldn't. And I kept slapping myself on the hand. But it was during that startup period where you're always trying to pay Peter to, stealing Mary to pay Paul and stuff. And finally, I got to where I could start breathing. And like I said, I've never spent any money out of the LLC. But still, when you're trying to create more assets and pay, repairs and stuff, it keeps you going for a while. And I'm very conservative, so I like to pay off my stuff and be debt-free. It just takes you longer. And after about 3 years, I got where I could start breathing, and I said, okay, this is it. And I made sure from that point forward that I did not commingle funds. I ran it exactly the way an LLC is supposed to. And I checked with a lawyer and an accountant after I started running it correctly, and they both said the same thing. Yeah, you're okay because nobody sued you yet. And as long as you start running your LLC the way it should, it'll be in good standing. So I feel very confident right now that if I got sued, I'd be all right. Make sure you use the corporate name, like Lee's Barbershop is on title for the project, house project. Not my name, but Lee's Barbershop is on there. And then I signed it as Lee Richter, manager of the LLC. You don't want to just sign Lee Richter because later on they could say, no, he didn't sign this. He was signing this as Lee Richter. I can sue him. So you always want to put your title. I'm the president, the treasurer, the secretary, because I'm everything in this LLC because it's a single member. But I literally in my documents show that I'm each one of those positions. And so it depends on what I want. Usually I'm just the manager. If I go into the bank, I'm the treasurer. I can't remember using president, but I guess I would use president if I wanted to, impress somebody if I was in a board meeting or something. There's Michelle. So it depends on what you want to do, and make sure that, if your wife's the treasurer and you sign as treasurer, well, it's not a good signature because you're not the treasurer. So just make sure that whoever you are is the way you sign the documents. Have a good accounting system. That's very, very important because that's one of the main things that you have to do is keep up with your properties and do the correct accounting. Each one of my rental properties has to have their own accounting program. So I can say not net profit for each one. I use QuickBooks. Some people say that's really clunky. I don't know. It works really well for me, so I'm not really sure what they're talking about. Maybe if you had 100 properties, I don't have that many properties. I don't want that many properties. I'm real happy with what I've got. If I pick another one up tomorrow, that'll be fine. If I don't, that'll be fine. Keep all your receipts. Some people like to photocopy them. Steve that works with me, he photocopies all of his and he keeps it that way. I like having a physical receipt, mainly because I can track them better. I in my filing system, I track everybody by check number. So even if it was a credit card, whatever check paid that monthly statement off, all those receipts will get stapled to that. And all those receipts have that check number to follow it. And it really has saved me lots of money, especially in my landscape business, because like I'll buy a hedge trimmer from Lowe's with a 2-year warranty. The hedge trimmer is $49. The warranty is $7 for 2 years, and it never lasts me 2 years. So what do? You got to take your receipt back. Well, I just pull up Lowe's on my QuickBooks and look for hedge trimmers, and then I pull that receipt out of my thing. It takes me about a minute and a half to find that receipt. Then it takes me, 20 minutes at Lowe's to stand in line I go first thing in the morning when there's not a line, but to return the hedge trimmers. So, I may get used to the hedge trimmer for 6-8 months and then take it back because it's got the warranty on it. So my hedge trimmers cost me $7. Okay. Now, if you have an S corp and you're getting a W-2, and even if you don't have an S corp, you probably have to file 941. That's where you're paying your employees Social Security and Medicare and income tax. You have to do that usually quarterly. If you make enough, I have to do it monthly. And so it just depends on how much you have to pay in. I think if you have pay in over $1,200 in a quarter on income tax and Social Security and Medicare, then you have to pay monthly. And so I have to pay monthly. You want to make sure, no matter what you have, if you're a self-employed or self-employed, if you've got W-2 workers, you still want to do the 941s. But you want to make sure you do your quarterlies, your 1040 ES. On your quarterlies, you can pay 100% of last year's taxes, or you can do 90% of this year's taxes. And I always do 100% of last year's taxes because I always make more the next year. I don't want to pay more in income tax until April 15th. Make sure you file your Texas unemployment things, and that's a monthly thing. Oh, who's that with you, Michelle? Who is that? What's his name?
Sorry, he got a little shy. His name is Trevor. He's sitting right beside me. Oh, there's his arm. He's sitting beside me learning to code, so I can sit and halfway listen to you and semi-listen to him. So anyways, that is him. You want to come up back up? He doesn't. He's being shy again.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now this is where I told you all that I tell you later on how you can take trips off of taxes. I have a board of directors. I think one of my board members is on here. Aaron is down there, and I'm not sure if that's him or not. I have 2 sons and my sister. My sister lives in Florida, and one son lives in Virginia, and another son lives in San Angelo. And both my sons and my sisters are on my board of directors. And if I want to have a board meeting, I can go personally and see them. Sometimes I go, my sister is also a paid advisor, and I have a receipt for her that I paid her $11,000 to be my advisor. You can set different things up in different ways that's mutually benefiting to both of you. And I've gotten my money's worth off that 11,000. Last year, I believe it was, we had a 2-day board meeting that my son down in San Angelo, he and I, we rented the Holiday Inn in Odessa, the fun Holiday Inn that has the putt and stuff. We rented that, and we went down to San Angelo to have the first part of the meeting on the first day, and then we were going to drive back here and stay in the Holiday Inn that night and talk more about the business and stuff. He's becoming a CPA, so he gives me a lot of CPA advice, and also both boys comment on, you know, the economy and what I might think about different ideas of how to proceed in the business. My sister does the same thing. And my sister, when we get together, they've been in real estate all their life. So that, you know, we talk real estate constantly, even if we're just calling up on the phone. But it allowed us, so we get down to San Angelo, and we're talking about real estate while we're shooting pool, and we go out and have ice cream, and, you know, just enjoying the evening and talking about the company and how to increase. His friend is a country music singer, and so, you know, we might talk about business back and forth on that too. A storm came in, and I wasn't able to come back. We weren't able to get back to Midland because it was a really bad storm. So we spent the night in San Angelo and didn't take advantage of the hotel room that we paid for. But still, we had a good meeting. Some ideas got bounced back and forth. I can look up in my company notes, and I can tell you what we talked about and what was decided, or if anything was decided. Make sure that if you have an LLC, you have minutes. And so, to wrap up the board of advisors, put people on your board of advisors that you really do trust. You know, if you've got a crazy lunatic person that's a derelict, you wouldn't want them on your board of advisors because they're not going to give you good information. And you may not want to go see them either. But if you've got people you like and that you want to see, put them on your board of advisors. You'll get good information to them. Even if they're not in real estate, they just got a good brain, and they might see something differently than you do and give you a different opinion. I have in my books, and I've had it in my minutes meetings for, I think it was 2 years ago, it may have been 3 years ago. My goal for my company is to get up to taking a week off once a year for a master meeting. And last year was a two-day meeting, and I'll probably try to have another 2 or 3 day. We might push it up to 3 days. If the virus wasn't going on right now, we'd probably have at least a 2-day meeting. I'd want to do an Amtrak trip out to California and back, just staying on the Amtrak, not doing anything but sitting there enjoying the scenery and stuff. Would you get a sleeper car and be able to sleep while we do it? That's one of my goals, because there's nothing to do while you're there but look at the scenery and talk. So what a better way to have a meeting. I got the whole week meeting idea from Bill Gates, because he does that once a year. He goes off to middle of nowhere with just himself and thinks and reads and thinks about where he wants to take his company. Now, I always want to have a board meeting because I want my board members with me. And y'all can imagine why, you know, everything's tax deductible and we all have good time with each other. Now, this board meetings that I've been talking about, specifically in Texas, you do not legally have to have a once a year board meeting. To increase your standing, if you ever went to court, you should have at least once a year at the end of the year, and you should name them there. There's different things you should have, and I'll let you get with your lawyer, and he'll tell you what all you should go over. I have a list of things I go over every year, and I also have meetings constantly throughout the year. If I go down to San Angelo to talk to that son, I'll make minutes of the meetings. I'll tell what happened, when I left, when I came back. That also tells my mileage and stuff. It tells the receipts that I have for food. You know, it tells what was discussed at the table. If I'm out of town, it really doesn't matter because I'm out of town, so you know I can eat and take that off the taxes.
But what about if you're like, I mean, a sole person with an LLC? How can you have a meeting like that? Or what would you do?
Many of my meetings are at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and all of my treasurer, my president, my manager, we're all sitting here together, me, myself, and I, and we sit here and we discuss things, and I literally write it down in there. It was there was a nomination to buy this house for a fix and flip because I wanted to make sure, me as a manager, I have the authority. I've given it to myself in my books, but I also wanted to get permission from the board, not from the board of advisors, but from the owners. And so I got permission from the owners to buy that property, and it's in my meetings, in my notes. So, you know, if I ever go to court, I feel real confident that I'm going to win. Now, I may lose the court case, but they're not going to break that corporate veil. They won't get into my money. So keep good notes. It doesn't, you know, you can even go to Starbucks and have a meeting there and take that coffee off of your taxes. I've gone to Chipotle's and had a meeting there. It was a rough way to go, but you know, me, myself, and I, we had to go. Another form that you want to make sure that you do, I'm going to leave the annual meetings now, is the state requires you to have an information report once a year and a no tax due report. The no tax due report is only if you make gross receipts of $1 million or less. And so I'm not quite up to $1 million yet, maybe someday, but it's not due till May something, but I do mine January, usually the first week or two in January. I always like to get my stuff that I have to get done. I like to get it done early. Don't put things off. If you put things off, that's when you start getting bit. That's when, you know, well, I'll pay my taxes in April 15th. Well, if you put that off, come up April 15th, you know, you had a car wreck April 1st and you had to buy a new car and now you don't have money for your taxes. So do things early, get it out of the way, and do those 2 reports early. It's done on the state site and it's done at the same time. So it's very easy once you get set up. Always write an SOP, standard operating procedure, for everything you do. That's not, you know, if you spend 2 seconds on something, don't worry about it. If you sneeze, don't worry about how to sneeze, you know how to take your hanky out and sneeze. But like this no tax due report, you only do that once a year. Are you going to remember how to do it next year? Well, I do because it's in my SOP. And if I have my assistant to do that report for me, I can just hand her that piece of paper and she can read right down to it how to do it. Now, it takes me about 5 minutes to do that report, and it probably took me an hour or more to write the SOP. So SOPs, there again, are you willing to work and do things that you're not getting paid for to be able to get the benefits from now on? And my assistant, she does my billing for me for my Lee's Barbershop. I have another assistant that's in the Philippines. She does part of that for me. And I had to create the SOPs for both of them. But I haven't done billing in, well, at least I've done half the billing, but I haven't done half of it for at least 7 years because I have had that, maybe 5. the one in the Philippines. She does most of it. And then the part that we can only do here from the United States, I haven't done that for 2 years. The lady I have working for me now, she does the rest of it. So I haven't done any of the billing in 2 years. But the time that I save by spending 2 or 3 hours to write that whole thing down and how to do it saved me, it'll save me time for the rest of my life. So always do that. If y'all want to have stress-free and not work on your business, like Michelle creating that gas station, that would have been a nightmare because she doesn't spend that much time on her RV park. And she wants to have time to go be with the kids. She don't want to be spending it at the gas station. So at the end of the year in January, make sure you pay your 940 payroll tax, your W-2, your W-3, your 1099 miscellaneous, and your 1096s. They're all tax things. You'll learn about them if you get an LLC. All of those you have to do if you're self-employed also. So make sure that you're filing all those forms. All the contractors that we're using for this fix and flip, they're all going to receive 1099s except for one. The next door neighbor, I gave him $10 to fix a faucet. So that was under $600, so I don't have to give him a 1099 for that. But all the rest of them, they're over $600, and they'll all get a 1099. And the last thing is file all your returns on time. If y'all want a list of the things that I've talked about tonight, send me a text. The very first thing on the chat, on the very first one, I put my email in there. If you got an email, most of you guys got an email reminding you of this meeting, just hit me up back on that email and I'll send you this list. If you're going to start a LLC, the lawyers I like are in Utah. They set up LLCs all over the United States. They have podcasts. I listen to them every week. They started a new podcast for 401ks and IRAs. I started listening to that. That's really interesting to me because I have a self-directed 401k. And although I know all the rules, I want to hear what other people are doing and different rules that maybe I've missed along the way, different ways of looking at different ways of running the thing and different ideas of maybe some investments that I haven't thought of. So if you want them, they will create your LLC for $800 if you have a lawyer. And what the lawyer does is talks to you for an hour. If you want to do it with their paralegal, which means you won't get to talk to the lawyer, she'll create it for $450. And they're both plus state filing fees. So you're going to add another $300 that the state charges you. And the state charges you that no matter who sets it up for you. I like KKOS because Mark Kohler, he's 50-something years old, and he's a CPA tax lawyer. Now, he's got it covered all the way, and his partner is Matt Sorensen. He's the one I've read his book 3 times at least, and it's on 401ks and IRAs. Very good resource for learning how to do self-directed stuff. Matt's real good. He's a tax lawyer also. He's just not a CPA, and he's really good at the 401ks and IRAs. He's real knowledgeable in that area. So everything I want to do with my business, those guys are really top-notch and really on to it. If you have somebody here in Texas that creates your LLC, that's great. Just make sure. I wouldn't do it without a lawyer. And if you've got one that you've made with a online thing, make sure you use the things that we've talked about tonight to run your LLC so that you run it correctly, because that's what the lawyer's going to try to do. He's going to try to break your corporate seal. If you don't run it correctly, then he's going to break it and he's going to come after you for your assets. That's all I've got. I hope y'all got a little bit out of this. And any questions?
I think there were several questions in the chat. I have to go for tonight. I have to get kiddos in bed. but enjoyed it, and I'll be sure and watch the video later. So good night, everyone.
Thanks,
Good
Michelle.
night.
Robin, can you read the chat? You go through those questions and read them to me?
Yeah, I've answered a couple of them, but I'll read them out to you. Let me see here. The first question was, so we can have multiple LLCs in order to not lose everything if it were under one.
Well, I'm in the middle of changing my Cats and Dogs LLC to a Series LLC. That's what I'm reading through now. It's those corporate documents. And I've had them for about 2 weeks. I'm just a slow reader. And, you know, I read 15, 20 minutes in the morning while I'm eating breakfast. If grandma's not eating with me that morning, or, you know, I'm not reading it straight through. And I read a little bit on it today. But right now, my parent company would have properties in it. What I want to do is create the subs. That's what they call them. In the series, each little company is called a sub company. And I want to transfer all of the real estate that I have into that parent company into each sub, but I want only one property in a sub. Now, some people have 4 or 5 properties in a sub, but me, since they're so easy and they're cheap, they don't cost anything, but there's a state fee of $25 to, it's called business as. And I'm checking now because I'm not sure why my lawyer wants me to have my company doing business as. I think it's just to give it a government seal that it's actually LLC, but I think another way of doing that is to go down to the courthouse and have a, what do you call those? The lady that checks your signature. What do you call those?
A notary.
Yeah, notary.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think that if I went down and got it notarized that it was an LLC, that I think that would be good enough. But I haven't checked with the lawyer with that. Check back with me in 2 or 3 weeks because I'll have it complete by that time, and I'll have asked the lawyer that one question. And so if you create other LLCs, you got that $300 charge each time. If you do it through a lawyer, he may charge you whatever fee he charges. But if you do a series, it doesn't cost you anything for the subs. It's free. You just fill out the paperwork and it's in your office. I have, going back to what Robin was talking about, anonymity, I have studied a lot about that, and I can't figure out in Texas how to get around it. Because if you have a corporation, you have to list the owners. And so any corporation that there is going to be listed. Now, the sub wouldn't be with the state. It wouldn't be listed, but it's going to be on the chain of title. So it's going to be who the property is titled to. And the tax statement has to go to an address. So they're going to find you. And yeah, it may be a little harder if it's in the sub, but I've kind of given up on anonymity and worrying about if people know that I own my properties. If you want to know hard enough, you'll go find it. And there's different ways. Lawyers can find it really easily. Average person, I can find what you own. If I know you have a LLC, I can find what you own personally. I know how to look it up. So it's not that hard. It's just learning how to do it, and all lawyers know how to do it. Any other questions, Robin?
Yes. Let me see here. Michelle had asked if you have a meeting with everyone at once on your board of advisors, or if you also did it by 1 or 2, or.
I have had I had a meeting with one of my sons, and there was another board member there, and that board member didn't contribute anything and wasn't into it. So I took that person off the board of the meeting. And so for that trip, it was good. You know, it got me tax deductions for that trip. But so I would have, when my other son gets out of the Navy and he comes back here, that train ride I said going to California, if they both have time and want to jump on, then it would be something that I would definitely like to do, is take a trip with them. It would be a board meeting. There, if everybody sees down there, Braxton Keith, that's the country singer that I was talking about. He sings all over Texas. He's starting to get into other states, and he's just hitting it, man. How you doing, Braxton?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Are you going out this weekend singing?
Yes, sir, I am.
that kid, he's going to be a next Toby Keith or something, right? He's going for it.
Thank you.
You bet. Robbie, what's the next question?
There's one that just came in from Sergio, who was asking if you put your personal address on the LLC, and I said that for the sake of the corporate veil, you probably shouldn't, but you can, because I know they require at least one address, but that address can be your LLC's agent, if I'm not mistaken.
For about, well, up until last year, so 7 years for one LLC and 3 or 4 years for the other. And you have to have what they call a registered agent. And the registered agent is where your mail goes to. It cannot be a PO address. It cannot be one of those UPS mailbox drop things. It has to be a physical address. And it has to be that you can get mail there, or if I understand the rule correctly, you have to be able to be served with a summons between regular working hours. And so I do have my personal address on my LLC, but I only did it starting last year. I think most places will charge you $100 to $150 to be your registered agent. Mine used to be in Austin, and I just figured that's $100 and $150. I think mine was $125. And I just thought that was a way that I could save $125. I could go out to eat 3 or 4 times with that money. It's going to be your personal choice and how much anonymity you want to try for, Sergio. I gave up on it, and that's why I went ahead and started being my own registered agent, is because I know there's too many ways for them to figure out who I am. Now, your renters, even the stuff I've done, the renters, unless they know how to do things like I do, or a lawyer, like let's say you're my renter, you're sitting in my rental, you're not going to sit there and think, oh, I'll find out who owns Lee's Cats and Dogs LLC. Because I don't tell my renters that I own the property. I tell them I manage it. And I tell them, well, actually I do tell them I own it. I tell them I own it, and that the people that lend me money won't lend me money if I don't run my rentals the way that they suggest. And it's true, they will not lend me money. One of my people that lend me money is a hard money lender, and she will not lend me money if I don't run my rentals right, because she knows she won't get her money back. I'm also one of my lenders, and I won't lend myself money if I'm not going to run it right, because I won't make money. And like I said, I don't mind not making money in the short run, but I want to make a lot of money in the long run. So.
And then a follow-up question from Sergio said, so am I putting my personal home at risk by putting my address?
No. As long as your corporate veil is good. Unmute, Sergio. Do you have an LLC?
Yes, I do, but I have my personal address there is a mailing address, but also have the UPS box address also on there. I have both. I just don't know. I can't remember which one I have on which. So
yeah.
when I started up at first, I used the UPS address there on Loop 250.
Right, and see that's the type of thing that they would try to break your corporate veil about. Now, it's in the past, because now you have a physical address, so you should be going good in the future. As long as you're lawsuit if somebody was suing you, as long as it didn't. The state of, she held up
I'm
some.
sorry, I'm trying to say hi to my little niece, Joanna, but she wasn't paying attention to me. I'm trying to be discreet. Shh.
Yes.
Just keep going, try not to interrupt. Sorry.
As long as your LLC is in good standing now going forward, and the longer the time passes, the stronger your LLC gets. Just like me, I knew I wasn't running it right, and then I started running it right, and now it's been quite a few years that I've run it right, and so I feel very confident that if anybody sued me now, that my corporate veil would hold up. I have multiple ways. All these ways that I've told you. The annual meetings is one of the strongest, I think, that makes it, you know, giving myself permission to buy property or do this or do that. Any major decision I make, even if I'm thinking about a decision, I'll put it in there. And then later on, if I never follow up on it, that's fine. At least it was recorded. So did you have a lawyer create that, or was it an online thing?
No, I did it all myself. I didn't go through LegalZoom or anything like that. I just looked up the information on the Secretary of State website, and I did it all myself. And I paid the $300 fee, and that's.
Do you have an operating agreement?
No, none of that. No.
Okay, the operating agreement, you don't have an LLC without that.
Oh, then I do then. I did it. I mean, I don't know all the exact documents that I have on there, but I think
how many pages is it? Is it 20 pages at least? You think?
I'll have to look.
Okay.
I'll have to look.
Look up in it, and it should say operating agreement or something like that. And basically what it's going to tell in there is who runs the LLC. Hang on. I went to get one of my LLCs off the shelf.
And while you're pulling that up, a quick reminder that this isn't legal advice, so do go ahead and check with an attorney or an accountant to what all you need to do. But I was going to add regarding your previous question regarding whether you'd be putting your personal home in danger. The way a lot of these lawsuits work is usually attorneys will not go after someone if it doesn't seem like they have money to gain out of that, which means that unless you mess with the wrong person and they have hundreds of thousands of dollars to put up front for legal fees, an attorney will not take a suit if they're not sure that they're actually going to make their money out of it. So if you own a home outright and they pierce the corporate veil and they notice that you own your home outright, they may come after your house. It is a possibility. However, if you're fully leveraged and you have a year or two that you've been paying on your mortgage, you do not have enough equity in your own house for them to come after it. If you have enough money in your LLC, they shouldn't even come all the way through that. But if you don't have anything in the LLC because you're leveraged in your LLC and you're leveraged in your home, there's very few attorneys with a typical client who doesn't have tons of money to put up front that'll actually try and come after you. It doesn't make any sense for them because they've got nothing to gain. So that's another thing to hedge your bets is as much as you can afford, and as much as Dave Ramsey would hate me for saying that, stay leveraged. Leverage is good for business and asset protection. And that's also something that Justin Smith has brought up in the past.
Another thing you can do, I may or may not have my properties paid off, but you won't be able to tell because if I pay a property off, I will tell the lender, do not send a thing to the county saying it was paid off. Send me a paid in full letter so I can put it in my safe. And then it says downtown that my property is leveraged. So that's one thing. Now that's on my rental properties. On your personal property, we live in Texas. Yes. Texas is very, very good on personal property. They can get your personal property. Even the IRS has trouble getting anything out of your personal property. They cannot sue you and get your personal property from you. What they can do is put a lien on it. And if you ever sell that property, then the money has to go out. But you can live there until you die, and they'll never get a cent out of your personal property. The only way that anybody can get your personal property in the state of Texas, and like Robin says, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm right. He says, the only way they can get it is if you got a lien on the property, in other words, you borrowed money and you don't pay that lien. That's the only way in Texas you can get your property. You can have a $40 million home in Texas, and that's why OJ went to Florida. Florida has the same type of property laws. They couldn't get OJ's property in Florida because he owned it personally, and it was a homestead. In Texas, once you homestead your property, it's another asset protection. They can't get it from you, Sergio. No matter if they break the corporate veil or not, it doesn't matter. Nobody can get your property. That's why once you pay your personal property off, yeah, exactly. Keep it. Don't. The leverage is the only way you ever lose your money. So that's a good thing about Texas. We love Texas. No income tax. All these great things. Great people too, like Sergio. Everybody. Any other questions?
You too, Lee. Thank you for keeping this thing going and going and going. I mean, I know it's a lot of work, but I really do appreciate it. We all do.
Well,
Yes, Lee, thank you for all the information.
thank you. Going back to the operating agreement, the things, look for this in your thing. You should have articles about the members. It tells what the members can do. It talks about the financing of the company. It talks about the management, how it's going to be managed, record and accounting. And that section is, let's see. That's 26 pages is what my operating agreement is. And you should read it once through and get a general idea of what it says in there. There again, your operating agreement will tell you whether or not the managers run the company or the owners. And it's very important because if you
How long has
think,
it been since you cut your hair, babe?
and you put Sergio, you sign, let's say you sign Lee Richter manager, but in your operating agreement, it says only the owners can run the company, then you've signed it with no signature. And that's a way that he might be able to break corporate veil. So find out who's running your company, your LLC. And if you want the things that I talked about tonight, text me and I'll definitely send you a list of it. Because
I do.
Okay. Well, text me because I don't remember all the
I
ideas.
will. I'll send you an email reminding you that I would like the list of all the information.
Good. Well, I hope Robin creates an LLC at the first of next year. So I hope he makes over 40,000 next year. And we're talking about net income on that 40,000. It's net income that matters.
Yeah, I do not have that much net income with the drone stuff, especially because I've got several thousands of dollars of driving expenses over just 2 months. So yeah.
This year we don't care about, but next year, if you keep doing what you're doing now with the 1099, that's what I'm talking about. That's part of your company. So
yeah,
if you were to get, especially if you got a fix and flip, and you did that with Steve, and y'all went in 50.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Yeah,
it would be nice.
Yeah.
I mean, just one deal should be enough, right?
Yeah. But if you work for Steve all year too, I would think that probably by the end of the year, you probably get close to that. Once the LLC is set up, it'll always be there. And in any year that you do go over 40,000, you can, let's say it's December 30th. You can backdate the LLC all the way through the year and run it as an S Corp. But if you don't have the LLC set up already, you can't backdate the LLC because it wasn't a company until you set it up. And so all the income, let's say you did it in July. Well, only half your income is LLC money. The part before you set it up is self-employed money. So once you set up an LLC, yes, and with Robin, I would suggest him only do the 451 because he knows people that could probably answer his questions. That's all I'm going to say. I won't say who those people might be. And I could also have Robin sit in on a meeting because I meet with my lawyers twice a year. I run my business plan through Mark. He's got so much business experience and stuff, and he knows all the tax rules, and he knows the lawyer side of it, that I want him to say, last year he had one small, minute thing that he changed on what my long-term goals were and how I was going to achieve them. So, but just having that one small thing got me in the right direction or kept me in the right direction. And so I'd rather have a meeting once a year with somebody that knows more than I do or has a different opinion than I do. And, if I'm talking for an hour and Robin is sitting there, he could pass me a note and have me ask whatever question it was, and it wouldn't cost me hardly anything. Well, I'm going to wrap up the questions and y'all can talk to each other or converse and get to know each other.
Thank you very much, Lee. It was nice seeing y'all again.
Yeah.
We'll see y'all next time.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm about to go.
You guys that don't know Sergio, he's one of the original founders of this thing. And he's always in there hitting left and right, trying to make things work. He's got a family though right now. My kids are out, so I got a little more time than he does.
Right, that's why I do appreciate you keeping this thing going because I know it takes a lot of time and everything, setting everything up. So thank you for all that.
Well,
Thank you, Lee.
I appreciate it. Eric, I'm glad to see you in here.
I'm glad to see you. Good. Congratulations on the progress on that house.
Well,
You too, Robin. Good job.
All you guys that were at the first thing, you guys are going to be shocked at how much Robin's done and everything.
I didn't make it today, but we found out our sister, I don't know if Lucero told you, but she got diagnosed with COVID. Yeah, so I tried to make her some soup and make her feel better. But anyway, yeah, I wanted to make it these days off, and I wasn't able to. Maybe tomorrow morning. Are you going to be there, Robin?
Oh, yeah. I'm there all the time. I've
Are
been
you?
there almost 10 hours every day since we started. So,
Robin,
last week, and y'all were running late.
Yeah, we showed up pretty early the last time we went.
text next time. I'm going to be there all day tomorrow too. And Robin was he was Luke Skywalker, and I was who's the other guy?
Yoda.
Yoda. And I was Obi-Wan, and he's Luke Skywalker. Now Robin has become baby Yoda because he's teaching me stuff because Steve's there sometimes when I'm not, and he teaches Robin stuff. And then Robin, when I come in, he teaches me the stuff that he's learned from Steve. So he's teaching me now.
Wow.
Yeah, and
how many people do you have there working?
Just
5?
one?
No, just me.
Oh,
Just one.
you?
Well, we had the
Yeah, so
other than that, it's just Robin and us.
Other than the contractors that do the large things that we need an actual professional for, such as roofing, AC, things like that. We've been doing everything ourselves. If y'all come tomorrow or during the rest of the week, I just cleaned up basically everything today. So today was a big cleaning day. Everything is nice and tidy before we make another mess putting up sheetrock. So
What time do y'all plan
Y'all-
on being there tomorrow?
I'll probably be there. If I get up early enough, I'll be there at 8.
All right.
He works for himself.
I would
so-
love to go by see it.
Sorry?
I said, you work for yourself, so you can be there when you want.
Yeah, but I was planning on going there a little bit early tomorrow because I was kind of anxious to start on the sheetrock. Because I've got to finish cleaning a couple of rooms and then we'll be all set. Because I think the only rooms that I'm missing are the new office and those 2 little closets in the master bath that I need to get the walls done, the cleaning, and then we'll be good to go. Yeah, that one too. But yeah, the biggest part of that one was the closet. I've just got 1 wall to do in that one, just that exterior wall. So it'll be 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, Linda, let's try to make it tomorrow. I would like to see the process
and I'll
of
give you a
drywall
tour.
being put up.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll try to be there around 8 too, then if y'all are gonna go.
Well, Linda, what time do you think you're gonna be there? Because I probably won't head over there until after 10 a.m. if I get to make it.
Well, you can make it at any time. We're going to be there until, I don't know, probably 6, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll probably head over as soon as I drop off Joanna.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. I want to see it, but I gotta get going then. Thank y'all, everybody. This is great information.
Good
Thanks.
night, sister.
Good night, sister.
Have a
Bye.
good night.
All right. Lee, you were mentioning about I didn't get to answer, I didn't want to interrupt you. You asked who would want to work for free. I'm like, just to get the information, just to get some hands-on and stuff.
Well, see,
Yeah.
I was actually making some money, and so there was somebody, who was it? Oh, Justice. I told him earlier, no, was it him? Oh, no, I was going to ask Lucero. I was going to ask her if she, like Ralph, you know who Ralph is, the black guy that lives in, I think he lives, no, maybe he lives in Midland.
Well, I mean, he's about to be in that beautiful, gigantic house that we toured last time.
Yeah. That $1 million home. Carlos, he lives in Odessa, and he's buying property. So get a hold of Carlos and tell him, hey, next time you buy a property, why don't can you use me doing anything and volunteer to do stuff? Now we're actually paying Robin, but if you're bringing value, most likely he can afford to pay you something. He'd have to pay somebody to do it anyway. So,
and one of the things that Steve had told me the other day was both Lee and Steve have their own jobs. So Lee will be working on whatever he needs to work on for the day and then swing by, see if I'm doing okay. And then Steve, in the meantime, will be working his full-time job. And then he has a side job as a contractor for which he does other projects. So he hasn't been able to come by a whole lot. And if carrying costs were a big deal, which they always are in some way, because that's always money that's going away. But I mean, I believe the carrying costs for this project are not outrageous to where they hurt extremely bad every month. But just the fact that they have me there working, I don't know, I think I'm up to close to 100 hours at this point over 2.5 weeks. That's time that they don't have to put in, that I can do whatever small tasks that I do while they focus on their 100 to whatever amount of money per hour they're worth, Mm-hmm. So doing things like cleaning, doing things like framing a door, putting up a door, framing a wall, pulling wires wherever they need me to, ripping out sheetrock, demolishing the whole kitchen, stuff like that is things that I can do that I don't need their experience or Steve's expertise to tell me how to demolish the kitchen. I could figure that out on my own. And so that's all time that they saved that both time, effort, and money that they didn't have to spend there doing tasks that were worth less than what they should make.
Right.
So technically, however long it took Lee to make that deal could be $1,000 an hour if he makes a profit that much, or $100,000 an hour if he doesn't get involved at all, you know, for example. So
Right.
it all depends on how much you value your time and everything, but it's been quite a lot. I've been spending most of my days in there learning, and it's not only learning, but practicing what I learned is what's most beneficial, I think.
Yeah.
Because
Awesome.
I mean, other than demo's easy, it's straightforward. And I'm big enough to be able to rip up and carry whatever out. But things like how to put up a giant 8-foot sheet of sheetrock by myself that weighs like 50 pounds without dropping it and putting it in place and lifting it up to the ceiling. Well, I didn't know the trick until Steve showed me. So it's just things like that, or framing a whole wall by myself without shooting myself in the hand. Well, it took me a couple tries, but now I'm good. My hand is fixed and it's all right.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
I kept the nail in my truck, by the way. Lee gave it to me or I think it's Steve that gave it to me as a reminder.
Just hang it around your neck, make a necklace.
And I'll just put it back on my hand. It belongs there. But yeah, it was pretty bad. I don't know if you can still see it, but it made it through there.
Ouch.
Since you're self-employed, do you have insurance?
I didn't even go to the hospital or anything. I just
Super glue and it was good?
Do what?
Super glue it and it was good?
Yeah, it was good. It was all right. I just put some duct tape on it.
And James Palmer, not Palmer.
Yeah,
Palmer. He's coming by on the weekends, working 2 or 3 hours a day. On Saturday, he came by one weekday. You know, he's just stopping by and he's learning some stuff. He's not working like Robin is, but he's still picking up some stuff and learning and sharpening his skills. So, you know, that's why I tried to make this the RIA Project House, so that anybody wanted to stop by and pick up some skills, or, you know, just talk and gain some knowledge. Because, you know, I can work while I talk. Robin, he can work while he's talk. So can Steve. So, you know, if you just want to stand around and talk, we're going to keep on working, but we can talk about whatever subject you want to.
All right.
Awesome.
Great.